Hello everyone, welcome to Raj Repairs. Today I got a good one for you, you guessed it. We got an issue with my skid steer. As you can see, I got it tore apart. I got one of the motors, transmissions, or whatever you want to call these little guys, out. I had this covered up, but I uncovered it so you guys could kind of see what it looks like if no one's ever taken one off. This is a Series 15 Sundstrand pump. I believe it's a Sundstrand pump. Could be Sandborg, but I don't. Sundstrand, I believe. Anyway, Series 15. This motor is a Ford 4-cylinder industrial 98 model 98 motor. So it's got a 1-barrel carb and, you know, alternator, that kind of stuff. The motor's pretty much tired. It starts hard, the compression's not the greatest, but I love this machine. It helps me when I need it, so I'd like to take care of it. And the issue it was having was it wasn't turning left. It was not turning left. It would turn right, no problem, but it wasn't turning left. It was struggling. It would turn, but not very good, and I just knew that there was an issue. So I decided to rip it apart. Yeah, there's a lot of little hoses you got to take off before you can get the pump out. There's a lot of things you actually have to do before you get the pump out. So as you can see, I took the control box out, which is right there. Got the seat out. And once you get all those items out, then you can work on it somewhat without having everything in your way. I disconnected the throttle linkage, which is right here, to get that. The reason why I disconnected that is because in order to get the seat housing out, you have to lift the cage up. 2 bolts, and the cage works on some hinges back there, and you have to literally figure out a way to jack the cage up high enough so you can get the seat out. So once you do that, you can lower it back down and do whatever you want to do. I decided to put my cage back down because it's just easier. Didn't have to worry about anything falling on me. So I had this machine covered, and I just uncovered it so you guys could kind of get an idea what it looks like. Here's the gas tank under here, which is decent. This is where the cage bolts in. I got four screws to unhook that, real simple. These machines are built, they're built solid. I haven't had any issues besides one other issue I had on this pump. I took it off, and there's right in here, they call that, forward reverse, but there's a mechanism in there they call a swash plate, and there was holding, there's obviously a shaft here. It goes down to the swash plate. There was a pin like that in the swash plate, and it wasn't in all the way, so this top part wasn't even moving. It was moving up here, but it wasn't moving the swash plate. So that made it so the symptom was I went to start it, and it was like it was in forward. It would just, it would crank. When the engine was cranking, the machine wanted to roll forward. So I did some research. I knew I had a problem somewhere. I started messing around with the linkages, and I realized that this one here wasn't working. So took the pump off, fixed it, put it back on. Made a gasket. As you can see, I put some RTB on there. It doesn't look the greatest, but it worked. So anyway, I got that problem fixed, but now I got this problem. Yeah, I'm not a skid steer mechanic, not a hydro anything mechanic. I can do it. I take it apart, I put it back together, I can tell you what I see wrong with it, and I can order parts. So plus I got a book on it, and I tried watching videos. Nobody's got a video on this particular model, that pump that looks just like this. That's what I like. There's a lot of videos out there, but nothing on this particular model. So I thought, well, why not make a little video just on what I know, maybe give someone a little hot tip of the information that I can give. Don't have to be a mechanic. I called a hydraulic place. They said, yeah, take off the pump. It'd be about $2,500. I'm thinking, yeah, right, try to find a used pump. Good luck. You know, you can't find these things used. So you can get parts for them though. So I did a lot of research, spent many hours on the internet, many hours just, you know, I talked to a couple guys and nobody really wants to give you any info because they want to make the money. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna have to figure it out. So here I am. I'll show you. I got the pump apart in the garage and I'm waiting on some parts now, and I'll show you the problem that this pump is having. So I'll tune in a sec. Okay, I'm going to show you what I found was wrong with it. This little washer guy sits right down there on top. This is a swash plate. There's those little pins that hold these mechanisms in. And one was out, I was saying, on the other motor, and I just tapped that compression pin in, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to replace this. That just sits there, down in there. This little guy is what broke. It sits kind of like that, and it holds. These little guys go inside of it, like that. So I'm going to replace this piece. It's about $32. Lord knows where the other parts are, because I cleaned this whole thing out already. I got the back of it off, which is right there, and I rinsed it out and just got everything out of it I could. Didn't find any more debris. So it's hopefully not in the system, but it probably is. Nothing I can do about that. Thank God for filters, and because anything that's coming in here is getting filtered, so that's a plus. So that's what I found, and then obviously this piece is part of that. Then these pistons, or whatever you want to call them, they got chewed up. They're supposed to be round. You can see that they're chewed up. So I got these on order too. So these are about $260 maybe. So anyway, I can't remember what she called them, but I got these, I got this, and I got that little ring looking thing for $320, and that includes shipping. So that's on the way. When I got the part, I got a seal kit, and it gave me this breakdown. So I want you to see that, and it shows all the goodies. Here's that swash plate where the control goes through, and there's two pins, 1 and 2. So you put the first one in, and you can tap it through the shaft, and then the second one comes down in. So you have to actually pound both of these out in order to get the swash plate. In order to get, you have to pound both of these out in order to get this out. And then you have to pound both of them back in. And there's a certain depth that they have to be. And I can get that info if you guys need it. It's like 1006 depth when you tap it in, and 1306 on this little guy when you tap them out. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think. Nope, it's not going to tell me. So basically, when you tap out those pins, this is the distance it has to be all the way through. You have to get some sort of a punch in order to get the shafts out. This one here is all the way through. I should be able to you can get something through here and tap it out, and it'll come out. There's some needle bearings in here, that it rides on, and then the seal. So I'm going to be replacing, I'm taking the swash plate out. That's my next job. And I'm going to just replace the seals. And before I put the seals back in, they recommend putting some light grease on the needle bearings that this rides on, and then putting a little bit of light grease on the seal, and then tapping the seal in. So they recommend light grease on everything, even these O-rings. Take everything off, get it all good and clean, and then put grease on these O-rings. These little pressure valves here are going to come out and get cleaned. I got to clean this head yet. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what it actually looks like. It's not that, it's not that big of a deal. I got the gasket all cleaned up. Everything's pretty much ready to go. Now I did ask him a question on let's see. I asked him a question on that little guy. Both sides. That side's copper and the other side's steel. And it looks good too. There's nothing wrong with that. I just said, hey, I've seen guys sand these. Can you sand both sides? And the lady goes, yep. She goes, start out with 800 and finish it and bring it down to 2,000. But do it on a piece of glass. And here's my piece of glass. So they recommend putting a piece of sandpaper on the glass, taping the sandpaper to the glass. I see guys use oil, I see guys use water. Either way, they're doing like a figure 8. And they're not putting any pressure on it, and they're wiping it off, looking at it. They don't want to take much off, they just want to make sure that it's totally flat. So she said you could do both sides. And as a matter of fact, I watched a guy on a video and he did both sides. Now he used 400, and he said he used emery cloth paper. So what's the difference? I'm not really sure. They say emery. I mean, I kind of Googled it and it said emery cloth is better for metal. So if you can find emery cloth, go ahead. He used 400. I'm going to use 8 and just kind of bring it down. Get it up to 2 maybe. But this guy used 4. And that was it. So I don't know, maybe I'll just do 6 and call it a day. Anyway, I got the book. And I'm going to give you a quick, this is the breakdown of this pump. In case somebody doesn't have this book. I think it starts, yep, this is a different pump. So this is the pump we want to work on. This is my pump. So yeah, go ahead and pause the video and you should be able to see all of this. Read it. See all your little shafts. This is what broke on mine. There's that little piston guy. There's actually the piston there. There's another one. Yeah, there's this ring that I'm going to be replacing. There's the needle bearing. Pretty cool. This bearing is on the shaft there that runs the controls. It presses on right there on number 62. Yeah, I've done a lot of research. Here's your little valves. They say these have to be totally clean in there, so I'll make sure they're all clean and lubed up before I put it all back together. I'm going to use just hydraulic fluid for everything. Just coat it and put it together. So here's the parts description. And you can use, all these numbers are on the other side there. And this book doesn't really, it doesn't tell you how to fix anything. It just kind of gives you a breakdown. So yeah, pause the video and read it. Got your O-rings and, it shows you how to put it all back together again. It's not that hard. Everything just lifts out of there. Obviously they call that a thrust plate, and that's what I'm replacing. Cylinder, this whole thing's a cylinder block assembly. That baby's the housing. There's those shafts, and there's the needle bearing that the shafts run on. So coat, I'm going to take them out and coat them and put them back in gently. There's the swash plate. 2 teeny weeny pins that go through that you have to punch out in order to get these shafts out. This little clip holds this shaft inside of here, and then it all just comes right out of there. Easy. Like I say, they don't really have videos on this particular pump. John Deere has Sandborg pumps, and they're all different looking, but they're kind of the same on the inside. So yeah, go ahead, get a good look here. Get a good look here. I wish somebody would have showed me their book, because then I wouldn't have had to buy this book. This book was cheap. It was about 15 bucks, I think. I got it on eBay. But it was the last one, so maybe the guy's going to make some more. So yeah, here's another breakdown of the top part of it. That's the part you can see. That's the end of it. Here's the tag right there. It'll give you what series it is. There's different series pumps. Yeah, so I got the O-ring, I got this little pin, here's the pump of one kind, whatever you want to call that. So, yeah, this is a breakdown of pretty much the whole thing. I think that's the last page. And then here's the parts breakdown in case you want to buy something. At least you got a number, and you got a name of everything you want to buy if you need it. Here is the main gasket that bolts to the motor. That's the outside gasket there that I actually made. I made one of these, and then I put a little urethane on it or whatever, gasket sealer. So yeah, here's the part number for the gasket set. You get your seals, your O-ring, little O-rings, and then you get the main cover gasket. I got this stuff. These guys are awesome. This is where I asked all my questions, and she answered them. Anything I wanted about sanding, anything. And she was super, super nice. Her name's Sonia. This is called Hydraulic Parts Exchange. And the phone number is 662-862-4410. And you can hopefully see the gasket number there. HPX-951035400001. And anything I said will this gasket set work on any Series 15 pump? And she goes, yeah. So obviously they're all pretty much, they use all the same parts. I mean, there's different looking pumps, Series 15 pumps, but this set will work on other pumps, even if they don't look like the one I'm looking at. So anyway, I'll tune back in when I start putting this thing back together, and I'll give you any hot tips I can. Okay, I got my parts in. Got the new pistons in. Not sure how many there are there, but yeah, look at the difference. Whoa. Now these have been like this for a long time, because I've had this skiddy for 15 plus years, and it's been working just fine until now. So yeah, we got the new washer, which is right there. I got the ring set here that's going to hold the pistons. I got a trinion bearing because I didn't like how it looked. It's kind of weird. And then I got these little push pins, those pressure pins or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, I'm working on pressing in the trinion bearing right now, and then we're going to press the seal in quick. So let's go ahead and get that trinion bearing in. If you don't have a press, get one. I got this at Harbor Freight. It's a pile, but it works. So yeah, this trinion bearing needs to be flush. So I'm just using the jack deal here. So yeah, let's go ahead and it just needs to be flush. I want to make sure we're going to be where it needs to be. It needs to be a little bit more than that. Okay, so excuse the noise. I should be able to just I think that's it. Let's see. That's pretty close. I lubed it. Just put a little grease on it before I look at it. Look at how loose this is. This thing, I don't know. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. She's flush now. Now we're gonna put the seal in. I'm gonna put a little greaser on the edge. Might help it go in a titch better. I don't know. I'm going to put some grease on the bearing itself before we get it all back together again. So I don't know. Those things always seem to go in a little cockeyed. So I'm using a socket that basically fits it perfectly. Now that should be flush too. So hopefully this will just push it in, which it's doing. Yeah, that's it. Not going to force it. Just needs to be flush on there because there's a washer that goes on there too. So yep, there we go. We got that. So yeah, so we got the trinion and we got the seal, and I put a seal on the other side too. So now it's time to get the shafts in here, and then put the swash plate in, and then put those pressure pins in the swash plate to hold everything so it all works. Okay, it's time to install the swash plate. I'm putting the shafts in first, just kind of getting them level with the bearing. And then I'm going to put the swash plate in and then stick it all together. I think that's the way to do that. Alright, figured out how far the pins have to be from the swash plate down. I watched a video. So technically, there's two pins. One pin's going to actually come about this far out of this pin, and it's going to sit in the swash plate. So half of this pin is going to come and sit pretty much flush with that. So half of the pin, I wasn't sure if you could see it, but half of the pin is going to stick out of there about, I don't know, it's going to be flush with this, so make sure it won't turn in there. So there's a measurement that I got off the internet, and I'll show it to you. I'm sticking this shaft in. I lubed it up. Everything's clean. They recommend, just like operation clean, you know. So everything's all clean, everything's good. I wiped everything down. I got grease, or I got a whole bunch of oil. I'm just oiling everything up. The bearing down there is oiled up. Yeah, so the swash plate's ready to go in. Now the pin only can go in so far too, so the pin won't slide. It won't slide all the way through here. They machined it so that it can't go. That's why the spring pins will line up with this shaft. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in, just see if we can get it in there somehow, some way. I'm not really sure. I'm just holding it. I'm holding the swash plate on the side of this unit so I could line it up, which I just did. So now it's in there anyway. Here, I'll show you kind of what I did. I just held the swash plate to the side, and then I put the shaft in. They're not in all the way yet, so I'm just gonna wiggle them around until they line up. Hoping we can see what's going on here. Yeah, so okay. I put lube in there, but they're not moving very good. Okay, wait no. Yeah, they're not. They're like in there really solid. So I think what I'm gonna do. What do we got? There we go. I'm just gonna give them a little tap. I got them lined up. Yeah, that's the key. Just give them a little tap. And they pretty much bottom right out. So then I'm going to use my little guide. Might as well do it on this one here just to make sure. I mean, I'm close. Okay, there we go. I guess it will go in a little bit further than it needs to. So we're good on this one. We'll give this one a little taparoo. Right there, I believe. Okay, that's in. Okay. So now it's time to put in the spring pins. Now the thing I recommend definitely is replacing the spring pins, because mine broke. So if you're gonna take the swash plate out and replace a bunch of stuff, get the push pins too. And another thing I noticed is, like, this push pin looks, or spring pin or whatever you want to call it, looks pretty good. This one you can see is bent, and I believe it's bent like right there. You can see it, and I believe this part of it, that much of it was sticking out of the swash plate, and it was putting pressure on it. This one here looks pretty nice, and there wasn't any pressure on it, but it's probably because of the parts that were broken in there. So if you can see the difference between this, a brand new one, look at how much shorter it is. So I believe the measurement I got, the shorter one's going to be flush with the swash plate, and this longer one's stuck down a little bit out of the swash plate with the measurement I got. So they recommend putting putting punches in there to hold it in place, and I don't have another punch, so I'm going to use my Allen wrench just to make sure it stays in line when you go ahead and put the push pins in, or the spring pins. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to put them in, but I wanted to show you that measurement quick. They said the measurement on my micrometer here was 106. But if you look, I looked at his, I think all these are a little bit off. So if you look at this, it'll go 10, 20, hash mark for 25, and one more 26. So that's, I looked at his micrometer, and I put my micrometer where it was supposed to be. Mine said 103, his said 106. So I'm going to put it at 103, the way my micrometer's reading. So I went 10, 20, 5, and another 16th would be 26 on this particular micrometer. Not to get it wrong, I just want to make sure it's right. And I looked, and it pretty much, the push pin or the spring pin is going to sit. It's going to sit flush with the swash plate. So I'm hoping and praying that this thing's not going to move. I'm almost thinking it's going to. Maybe not. Well, there is a little movement there, so let's just hope it doesn't move. I'm hoping I can pound this through without it moving. It's the only thing I'm freaking worried about. So I think what I'm going to do, put a little mark on it if I can, but I guess I really don't have to. That's straight up and down. I got a little mark there, but I really can't mark this. For one, it's all covered with grease, so that ain't gonna work. So let's try it. It's all hit or miss, trial and error. Got to get these pins in, and I'll show you how to mark it on that gauge there. But first things first, let's get it in there. He made it look real easy, and I'm sure it is. So we get that out, get this in. Start tapping it. Okay, I think that's working. Yeah, it's down in there for sure. It's about level with the top of the hole there. So what he did, he took a piece of tape and he marked it on his little dealy bob. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark it so it only goes down that far. So let's see. I'm going to do it like that. Just like that. So now I got a guide. Oh shit. That ain't going to work. Try it one more time here. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. What the heck? It's full of grease. Right there. So I'm not going to move the tape. Hopefully it's in the same spot. Double check it. Perfect. Alright, that's how far it's got to go down. I think I'm pretty close right now. Kinda. Well, it's saying we got about a ½ inch to go, and it looks to me like, well, I suppose. So it's saying we got about a ½ inch to go, so I'm barely, according to the other side, I'm barely in there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm barely in it, so. Okay. Yeah, this pin is like really solid. It's in there pretty good. It's in there so good it won't come off. Hello. So, there you go. I got this punch set at Harbor Freight. And I'm sure it's off just a little bit. Okay. Now the tape, I'm going to double check, make sure the tape didn't move. And the tape did not move. So let's see. God, why can't they just have the pins longer, you know? So I'd say that's pretty close. Okay. According to this, it's pretty close. Okay, I'm just gonna get it right where it needs to be, and that's exactly where we're putting it. Gotta have faith. Okay, there's that one. Now they recommend putting both pins in before you put the second set of pins in. So that's what we're gonna do. So now this set's going in. I think that's a dumb idea, man. They should have one pin, done deal. I'd be tweaking this whole setup if it was mine. But you gotta have faith and let her rip. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this pin in quick. Pouring rain out right now, if you guys can hear it. Wondering what that noise is. Hope that didn't move. Oh, brother. Nope. She's going. Okay, I got that right where it needs to be. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking I'm staying a 1/16 above the tape. That's my deal. I highly doubt anything's gonna be. Well, I'm staying. According to that, I'm staying a little bit more. I just got a bad feeling. I don't want that pin falling out. Boy, that's in there. It's in there solid. And that's the tolerances. So yeah, thinking out of the box. Come on. There we go. Okay. That's in there. And there's play from side to side because there's a washer that has to go on, and there also has to be a clip. So let's go ahead and put the other pins in. Now they said, according to the video, I watched them like a hawk. They said we put the new pins in. They're not going to be flush. They're going to be, I'd probably say from the top of my glove, they're going to be, I would say, 1/4 inch in. So they're going to go in. They have to be 1/4 inch in because they're only so wide. The pin's only so wide. So they're going to be 1/4 inch in this hole. They're not going to be flush. So the 1/4 inch is going to go, it's going to be this, the new pin's going to be about halfway into that shaft. So let's get her done. Let's get her in there. Might as well put this one in. We're working on this side anyway. Now these pins, man, they don't just go in the hole, so. Okay. I don't want this falling in there. Don't trust it. Jeepers. I'm just gonna hold it and see if we can do it. Yep. I'd recommend holding it, man. Frickin' pin falls down in there. Probably get it out, but okay, that's about what they said, about 1/4 inch in. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up with the video I was watching. And it's, if you punch this in on YouTube, John Deere 400 hydraulic motor rebuild. That's the video I was watching. It'll get you where you got to go. It'll show you the tear down, and it'll show you the assembly. So the pump is a little different than this, but if you watch the video, you'll see that this half of the pump is the same looking, and then there's another half of the pump that he's working on is a little different, but it's got, you know, it's the same as this pump. Series 15. Anything that we're working on has to be Series 15. Any kind of parts that you need has to be Series 15. That's all I know. This is my first time working on the pump, but if you're mechanically inclined and you pay attention to what they're doing, you can get it done. So okay, so we're good. Now I got to put the other pin in. Let's get that done. And it's loose in there, so I don't trust it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hold it in. Now this one's going to be a little bit tougher. I'm going to put pressure down on it. That's what you do. You put the pin in the hole. It's a little loose. You line it up with your punch and hold pressure down on it. Grab your hammer and get it done. They make it look super easy because they've done it about 100 times. So, like I say, I'm about a 1/4 inch in. Gonna show you. If you look down in there, you'll see it. It's about a 1/4 inch in tops. So half of this pin is supposedly half into the shaft on both, you know, upper and lower pins. Why they got 2 pins, it doesn't make sense to me. Because when you punch them out, both pins have to come all the way out of the shaft. So why can't it just be 1 pin? Why does it got to be 2? I think that's a flaw. I think that's a design flaw. That's my opinion. Maybe I shouldn't even have one, but I do. I don't like the 2-pin setup. I know they're both in there, so we're good to go. Also, on this video, it'll show the dimensions on this. When you punch the pins out, it'll give you another dimension on the micrometer. So you'll know both pins are out, then you can pull the shafts out, and a little bit of the pin will be left in the swash plate, so you have to punch it out. So yeah, there you go. Yep, keep it clean. Everything's clean. I'm going to put a little lube on here just for shits and giggles. Talking and working are two, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes. So there we go. Everything's all lubed up. It looks good. Moving back and forth nice. There's no binding. Yeah, we still have to put the washers are right here. So washers and the clips. So I'm going to, this washer here was on the bottom. I don't know why. I figured it'd just come right off. So this one here was on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on. And I'm going to stick this one on. It's nice and clean, ready to go. Now we got little clips. They just hold the washers in place. So hopefully I can get that to come on. It was barely on there. I got it off almost by hand. Yep, see, look at that. I put it on by hand. It's not on all the way though, so I'm gonna have to tweak it. There we go. That's it. That's how that just holds that on. That's it. Bottom done. So we'll put the other push pin or the spring in my bob on this one. I suppose it's easier just to come from the top. Use your fingernails. Make sure it's on. Yeah, it's on nice and tight too. There's no more play. Before there was play, and now there's not. So, and you can see now that I'm looking at this, I don't know, every time I take something apart I always pay attention, you know, obviously how to put it back together, but I kind of I just look at stuff. You can see that the hole is centered to the shaft. But what you don't see is it's the distance between the swash plate and the wall is less than this side, which is kind of different, but that's just how it is. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I notice stuff like that when I'm putting stuff together. So that's kind of where we're at there. So now the next piece to go in is the new washer. Which is right here. The new washer is part number 3102020. Yeah, while we're on part numbers, if you need to get a trinion bearing, Series 15, Sundstrand Trinion bearing, HPX-9001 455-004 trinion bearing. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in quick. Looks like we need a razor blade. Which I had, but I don't have anymore. Yeah, razor blade's hiding on me, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll tune back in once I find a blade. I'm going to continue, I'm going to watch the video just a titch and make sure I got everything going on the way I need to be here. And we're going to throw this big washer in a sec. Okay, I got the got the washer in here. I got the pistons loaded. I got them lubed up good. Now we're gonna put them in here. Nothing big. They kind of go in one at a time, I suppose, but just got to get them in the holes. So yeah, the plate sits in there, real nice. Everything's lubed up, blown out clean. Remember, we gotta be super clean. So in order to put this in, we gotta tip this sideways, maybe even a little bit more, but it's on a spline. So I'm gonna put that in quick, easy peasy. Yeah, then the swash plate just moves up and down. Easy. So now this piece here, inspect it, make sure it's not all grooved up, because you'd end up replacing it if it was. Yeah, so anyway, this part is good. It sits on top of this. So what I did was I took, I laid it on a piece of glass and some 600 sandpaper. In the video I showed you, or I told you about, that guy uses 400. Emery cloth 400. This guy, where I got all my parts from, he uses 800. So, you know, so yeah, I'm gonna use 800. I just hurried up and just gave it a little something. 800 on water, and a piece of glass. So I'll show you what it looks like quick. Just got to keep my gloves on, because man, everything is so oily, it's not even funny. So yeah, this is what you do. You put, get yourself a piece of glass, lay out the sandpaper, put some water on it, and do a figure 8. You'll see it in the guy's video. He does a figure 8, and he uses 400, and his is so hatched up, it's not even, it's not even funny. But this isn't it's not all it's got some small hatches in there. That's about it. No big grooves, so I think we'll be okay on this part of it. So yeah, I'm not getting too carried away on it, because it looks good, and I'm not going to do 400 for some reason. I just went 800 just to clean it up. The guy said you can do both sides. In the video that I gave you, the John Deere video, he only does the one side. But this guy from Hydraulic Parts Exchange, super cool. You got questions, they'll answer it. And they're in the business of helping people. And I talked to a lady named Sonia, and she is just incredibly helpful, really nice lady. So if you ever need anything, make sure you call this number. The owner's name is Bobby Wood. Phone number 662-862-4410. And they have a fax and stuff like that too. So yeah, hydraulic parts exchange. That's where I'd go all day long and twice on Sunday. I'm going to use these guys whenever I need anything for any kind of a part for hydraulic stuff. Like I say, that's what they did. They started out with 800 and worked his way up with grit. But he said be careful, do it on glass, make sure you use water, wet and dry. Doesn't have to be emery cloth. I couldn't find emery cloth anywhere in this town anyway, so I got a little frustrated on that. But so yeah, now we're ready to put this on. Easy, just sits on top of this. Brass side down. So, but I got to lube it up quick, and brass side down, and I'm going to lube it quick. I'm going to lube this, get everything just lubed up. Everything's got to be lubed up. And this part here has to be pointed this way. This is where the O-rings are, right here. This is the front of the pump. This little notch has to be up and towards the front. So that's how that sits on there like that. And the reason why is because the head of this thing, which is heavy, has a little pin right there. And there's the front of the pump with the two O-rings. I'm going to replace them next. I'm going to clean this up first, obviously, but yeah. So the pump's going to lay like this, and it has to go into this groove, and this bearing is going to go on the inside of that. So it's going to be a little something there. So we'll see what's going on there, but yeah, I thought there were springs in here, but there's not. Just works off the swash plate. So so that's where we're at now. I'm gonna go ahead and do some cleaning off camera, get it ready to be put together, and then we'll get it done. Also, this has to be totally clean. I'm going to take it all apart, get it super clean. Where the gasket goes, they want a finger of adhesive, like gasket sealer on there, on both sides of the gasket. So a guy could probably put it here, and then lay just a finger on here, but it has to be super clean. You have to clean it with lacquer thinner or some sort of a solvent first before you do the silicone. And once you do the silicone, get the gasket on there and slap it together. So it's actually pretty clean right now. I'm just gonna see something here quick without the gasket on there. I just want to see how easy it's gonna be to put this baby together. And it's heavy. So of course that pin's got to line up. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, I think. It's gonna be a tough one. So yeah, I'd rather dry fit it first. Dry fit it. Okay. Okay, well I'm going to dry fit it off camera quick. There's got to be something else I'm doing wrong here. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get it cleaned up, and we'll dry fit it, and then we'll put it together. Get it super clean. Okay, tune back in a sec. Once I get my glove off. Okay, yeah, I forgot. This piece is spring loaded. So it's gonna sit. So when I put the head on there to dry fit it, it was about 1/4 inch up, and I forgot that it was spring loaded. So I thought maybe I had something in wrong, and I took it back out and I double checked it. So yeah, So we get it set on there. Put the 4 bolts in, and then when we tighten it, the spring will push it down to level. So it's got a lot of tension on there. So that's what the deal was. So I forgot it was spring loaded there. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get it all cleaned back up, and I'm not even gonna worry about dry fitting the head anymore because I already know it's gonna fit. We'll get this part of it done, totally clean, gasket sealed, tightened up, O-ringed, all that stuff, and then we're gonna do the bottom of the pump, which is the part that bolts onto the housing for the motor. So that should be pretty basic. I'm gonna let her rip. So yeah, tune back in a sec. Okay, ready to roll. Got the O-rings in. I lubed up a little bit around the O-rings, stuck them in so they didn't fall off when we flip it upside down. I got everything cleaned. With lacquer thinner. It's totally good. We're ready to put on a thin skin of gasket sealer on this, and then we'll put a little bit on the gasket and stick the head on. So they just recommend a light coating. So that's what we're going to do. Just going to put on a light coating. They don't want anything heavy. So not sure. I could put the gasket on here, but I can't really fit it. So we're just going to do a light coating on here quickly, because he said, this stuff doesn't dry that fast. He said it in the video. He said it dries super fast, and I've used this stuff before. I don't think it dries that fast. So now we're going to go ahead, stick the gasket on. Make sure it's sitting exactly where we want it. And I just don't want them damn O-rings to fall off. Because if they fall off, it's game over. Yep. Well, this head was actually kind of hard to take off because of the sealer that was on it. And they don't want you to gob this stuff on because they don't want it getting in the pump. So that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Throw a couple bolts in. Kitty corner, I suppose. Make sure nothing's on there. This is pointed forward. See something on the bolt I don't like. Super clean. Pushing down on it. You can hold pressure on it. And just screw them in by hand. Yeah, the head doesn't sit on there perfect, but yep. O-rings didn't fall off, so I'm tickled about that. I'm not sure about this tag, but I'll just keep the tag out of the way. I'll tighten up the bolts. Let's see which one that is. And then all we gotta do, gotta put the other side on then next. Just gonna snug these up. Yep. Double check. I'm not going max tight. I'm just making sure they're tight. That's what they were. I took them off like that. Yep. So that's what we got so far. Wow, man, we're tight. That's way better than it was. We're tight because we got pressure on the swash plate now. Before it was easy to move, but now that we got everything in there and the pistons and all that, we got pressure on the swash plate, bam, it's tight. It's tight in there. It feels real good. So yeah, I got a fitting I got to put on this side right here. So we're gonna make sure this is totally blown out, and I don't think, yeah, they didn't give me an O-ring, so I'm hoping that's gonna be okay, but I'm gonna blow it out good and before I put it back in. So we'll get that in there, and I'll start working on this stuff, and I want to get it cleaned up and all that before I put it together. I already cleaned off the gasket, but I'm going to go back over it and make sure we're okay there. It's got an O-ring, so we'll get to that here in a sec, but yeah, the pump is getting together. It is coming together. Okay, I'll tune back in a bit. Okay, I got everything cleaned up for this part. Pretty much, just gotta wipe a couple things here. Got the whole surface done. Just getting everything ready to roll. Here we got this pin, got to go in. Goes in the shaft here, and then the pin goes into this area. You can see where it goes too, because it's more square right here versus all the other ones. So, and you can tell it laid. This is a flat part, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't look like it's either or. But I'll lay it the same way it was. But first things first, want to lay a little grease down. Guy recommends a little grease on all the stuff that's moving. So we're just going to lay a little bit down. Just so when it starts up, it'll be all good and lubed. Now that O-ring's going to be sitting on here too. So I don't want to get too much grease on that. As long as it seals, I'll be happy. Hope you guys like the content. Doing the best I can. Yeah, it's my first real teardown, but you can do anything you put your mind to it. I'll guarantee you this thing will work. Got to make sure this pin is equal on both sides, that way the gear will lay down. Got guy recommended a little bit of lube on this little guy. Throw a little on. All we got is an O-ring on this one, so this side's gonna be easy compared to the other side. Yep. Try not to get too much stuff in there. But this stuff dissolves, just like gets hot, and it'll be fine. So yeah, you can tell that was on the bottom. This is the wear. Give it a good little. I'm just gonna wipe some of this stuff off of there. Make sure I don't got any residue from the rag on there, which is fine. I got this head totally clean. I'm gonna put a little grease on this bearing. And I got get a little grease on the O-ring too. Get a little grease on that seal. The seal I didn't replace. It looks good. It didn't leak to begin with, so I'm not going to replace that. I got a bad feeling about taking it out. I might end up hurting the bearing there, and I don't want to do that, so no. I think we'll be fine in there. Got some good lube. I'm going to put a little in the O-ring here. Hopefully we can get that on. I haven't even test fit the O-ring, so I'm hoping it's the right size, not too big. Oh jeez. No, she's good. It was a little big, but it fit right in. Now, the next thing is make sure the left is going towards this notch. There's no notch on this side, but there is on this side. The left's got to be going that way. That's how I took it off, and that's how he put it in his video too. So here we go. Not quite sure what's going on, but I don't want to force it, so how come it's not coming all the way down? Don't want to force it. It's got a spline there, but you think it would just come right over that, and there's no notches there, so as long as the O-ring's not coming out, we'll be okay. We'll get it. Okay, something's going on. There we go. Just had to move it around a little bit. It was a real tight fit. So we got 4. Looks like, I'm not really even sure what they are. 13 mils to go on. Tighten that up, and that'll be the rebuild of the pump. Yeah, I know. It's not a perfect science. This is a budget build. Hopefully what I put in will take care of the problem. I don't have, you know, $2,000 or whatever to have somebody rebuild this thing. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to snug them up. Just snug them though. I'm not going to get carried away because these things weren't that tight. And I'll double check with my the ratchet. I got my other one off in the shop. Okay, that's good. Don't want to be over tight. Yep, barely. Okay. Yep, we're good. This thing here is kind of weak. It doesn't. You think it would take off lug nuts? It's not the best one Milwaukee makes. There's one more that'll just destroy, take every lug nut off you got. But this one won't do it. I'll have to breaker bar, then go ahead and do it. So this thing actually is assembly proof. It doesn't over tighten too much if you don't hold the trigger. Anyway, we got her done. I'm excited to put it back in. We got everything that I could get done. I fixed everything I could get fixed. The only thing we didn't replace any more parts, but I'm hoping this will take care of the problem. So I hope you guys like what you saw. I hope you liked the video. You got any questions? Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. I'll do the best I can. Like you say, this is my first time. I'm not a professional, but you don't have to be to do it. Just watch videos, and I gave you the video, I gave you the card, I gave you part numbers. There's really nothing more I could say. All I know is when the other pump, I'm almost positive those little pistons on that pump, they got to be wearing out. So basically, what happens is these things, that's what they do. They wear out. Those little piston guys wear out. So they were $320. I think probably got maybe I'm gonna say $400 tops with shipping and all that good stuff. So yeah, there's two more caps that go on here. They were siliconed on, so I'm gonna clean out the. Well, actually, maybe I can just get them on. But anyway, I'll put these caps on off camera. I'm not sure why they were on, but I'll put them on. Maybe they just have to be. So we'll get them on off camera. But like I say, about 400 and a little bit of time, and you gotta have a press, to press in whatever's wrong. But other than that, I think it's gonna be good. I'll tune back in when I get this thing on and running, so you can see that the pump works. So yeah, the video's not over yet, but the rebuild part of it is, and this will be rebuild video 1, and then I'm gonna make another video of it installed and running, so that'll be video 2. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, liking, subscribing. I hope you guys are doing good, and I'll catch you on the next video.